welcome to a Cumbersome Reboot. I am Jesse. I'm here with my co-host, Cameron.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
And we're doing a little special episode. We are very aware that our early episodes ran very long. We are running very, very structured. And as we started loosening that up, we realized that we work much better in a sort of just like free form, way less narrow format. So today, consider this episode our reboot episode, where we're gonna switch the format up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like we're remaking the podcast. It's a remake, reboot, maybe a sequel boot, which Red Letter Media has coined as a C boot. I don't know where we really fall. I don't know where we really fall under that, Jesse. So why don't you take us there? Start us off.
It's like roguelikes and roguelites. It's like which one are we? Are we a sequel like or a sequel light? I like to think sequel light.
There are very nuanced differences between a roguelite and a roguelike. I don't even remember if I said rogue. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I noticed that we were going a little long. I wanted the episodes to be a bit more zippy. I just don't think that people want to listen to us for over 90 minutes. I think you and I for over 90 minutes might be a bit too cumbersome.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes I don't even want to listen to me for 90 minutes. So
Jesse
I completely understand people.
Jesse has to do all the editing, the sound editing. He's basically our sound engineer. And yeah, for him to do like a 2-hour episode, especially if it's a two-parter that's been split into 90 minutes each, that's a lot of work for him. So anyways, yeah, let's start us off. We're gonna okay. You wanted to go into the difference between what a remake and a reboot is, and
yeah. So this brings us. We're gonna come into our topic, which is reboots. We're doing a reboot about reboots.
Yes.
Real meta stuff we're working with here.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know what reboots are at this point. We are fucking knee deep in them. We are in the age of the reboot, the remake, the goddamn whatever the fuck. It's just like a lack of original story over just rehashing. And so I wanted to kind of start off with talking about the merit of the reboot. Do you think reboots are necessary, Cameron?
Man. Okay. For example, the original The Thing was called The Thing it's called The Thing from Another World. It came out in the 50s. Awesome film. Yet the idea of the monster was completely held back by, the time constraints. Or not time constraints, but the period in which it came out in, the technology.
Yeah, the technology.
Yeah, special effects weren't that you couldn't do much back in the 50s, and still everything was black and white. Then 1982 comes along and you get the John Carpenter's The Thing, and it's like this is a whole different beast. It's a completely different animal, and it's excellent. But then you have an example of Moana, an animated film that came out 10 years ago. Only 10 years ago. One of Disney, considered to be one of Disney's better animated films ever made.
And it's not like this isn't like something that they maybe dropped the ball on. That they were like, well, maybe we should remake this or reboot this live action. No, this is like considered one of the like most beloved Disney movies of the modern age.
Yes, and Moana, it's just so The Rock can have an on-screen role. I feel I just think that man has such an ego. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, by the way. I think that man has such an ego that.
Well, let's be real. How many people are named The Rock?
Not many, man. Not many. There's a movie named The Rock, which was pretty damn good. Nicholas.
Yeah, it's like one of Michael Bay's only good movies.
Yeah, man, that's a good one. I haven't watched it in a while. But yeah, fucking like, why are we having that? The Lion King live action remake, the Aladdin live action remake. It's just nothing but remake slop from these lazy executives. And instead of making new shit, we're just drowning in constant remakes and reboots and
adaptations,
remasters, especially in the video game world. There's examples of very good remakes like Casino Royale. We 2006. That was the Bond reboot after Die Another Day, and that worked. Casino Royale is an excellent film Mads Mikkelsen had a good role in that film. He fucking
Yeah.
slung a string with some sort of weight at the bottom at James Bond's balls.
Now the whole world's gonna know that you don't scratch my balls.
I mean, you couldn't ask for much more in a
I
movie.
when I saw Casino Royale in the theaters, I went as the third wheel on like a high school date, and my friend started like really like making out and like fingering his girlfriend next to me like during that fucking like nutsack torture scene.
I've always heard those kind of stories. I've heard them, but I've never been a part of a story like that. I mean, I've made out with a girl inside of a movie theater and whatnot, but like, I've never been the third wheel and then come back to school the next day and been like, "Oh man, you'll never believe what Jesse just did with his girlfriend." And then, yeah, I've never been
Oh,
a part of that.
I was getting no action in high school. I wasn't even making out in the fucking movie theaters. I was like, for me, a good night of action was like holding the hand
Holding
in a
your
movie theater. I was like, oh shit, man, that was about as good as getting laid for me back then.
Wow, that's like some real 1970s, 1960s old style dating. Like, oh my
Or
god, so
just like a fucking thousands loser. That was more more the genre
oh,
of it.
don't be hating on yourself. We all had
Oh
our
no, no, I'm not hating on like present me, but past me didn't have any game. I can fully admit that I didn't have any game back then, and that's okay. I was just an awkward little nerd boy, and you gotta like grow up and you get some charisma. I did stand up comedy. I broke out. But since you brought up remakes, I would like to get into the our next thing here, which is like what to you is the difference between a reboot and a remake? For me, like the reboot is we're not remaking something, we are just kind of like we're just kind of resetting the slate. Sometimes it's like halfway like to a sequel. It's like, oh, this is the next step of this series or whatever. But instead of instead of just like remaking an older story, we're now trying something new. Usually you get some new actors in the mix. You sometimes you make it dark and gritty. That was a real thousands treat.
yeah.
Um,
Okay. If I were to define remake, remake would be taking something and mostly doing it the same, but altering a few of the scenes to the director's discretion or their tastes. A reboot is a completely reworked from the ground up story. Like it's not even following the original story. It's following bits and pieces of it, but it's a
yeah,
completely different animal. The thing
it's
from
a new offshoot in the canon.
Yeah, we're resetting this hard. A remake is almost like a love letter or a tribute to the original source material.
Or in some cases, there have been like literal shot for shot remakes, like when Gus Van Sant remade Psycho, starring Vince Vaughn, one of the most confusing casting choices of all time,
Oh,
as Norman
Europe.
Bates. That was literally just a shot for shot remake of the original Psycho.
What's that horror movie? There was a European version of it. It was about these two guys who come to someone's
Oh,
house. What?
funny games,
Yes, Funny Games. Yes, that
and
was a
that was
shot for
made by
shot.
the yeah, and that was made by the same director. So it's like that has a little bit more merit because the person directing it actually understood the fucking source material. Where it's like, yeah, Gus Van Sant versus Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, I know who I'm choosing.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't. I'm not familiar with the director like that, but yeah, that's a shot for shot remake. That's like basically because it was a foreign film, and Americans don't like reading captions, at least at that time in that time period.
No, oh, it's still a bit of not to throw my poor girlfriend under the bus, but I still have to jerk her arm to get her to deal with some captions.
So even like a Japanese anime film or some sort of like Northern European film, like yeah, she has
A lot
trouble.
of J horror is like what we run into because I am a huge Japanese horror fan. I always want to watch some like slow, dreadful Japanese horror film. That's just it's like it's not the most exciting film to watch in the first place, and then you gotta read while you do it, and that kind of turns her off. And I actually can understand. I'm at that point in my life where I've realized that I'm a niche man that will watch some shit that most people really don't want to. And I try to be a little bit more reasonable about it, but
Well,
sometimes I am just kind of like, just read the fucking subtitles
yeah, man. And luckily, by living in China, nobody has problems reading subtitles here because
because they have to.
yeah, I mean the state of the movie industry here. Most people have the opinion that movies here are very redundant and there isn't much creativity. So watching Western films with Chinese subtitles, that's the way to go. And a lot of them do listen to the dubs where they dub it in Chinese, but most of them are down with their Chinese subs, and the ones that speak English like reading the English subs just to compare the translations. Yeah, I've never had a problem here with any Chinese person, being opposed to a subtitle. Now, going
No,
back,
it's a very
oh,
American it's a very American proclivity
yes,
to not want to read the subtitle. That's for sure.
yeah, man. People who don't want to read subtitles, I don't know what to tell you, man. There's a lot of great films out there, great original films. You're missing out, and all that stuff from Europe, Japan, Hong Kong, those filmmakers, Korea. The film Parasite. I mean, come on, guys, step up your game. Learn to like reading subtitles because you're missing out on a lot of great shit.
Missing down on like some of the greatest movies of all time. But so yeah, I think we agree on the stark difference between reboot and remake.
Yep.
I definitely I don't know which. Here's a good question for you. What do you dislike more, reboots or remakes? Which one gets your goat more?
Remakes, because sometimes it's just so unnecessary, and that's why I'm glad that Robert Zemeckis basically is taking Back to the Future to his grave, because remakes, man, a reboot can do something completely fresh, and whether it sticks the landing or not, that's a crapshoot on whether it's going to do that. But a remake, it's like I can't really see. I've never played a remake or watched a remake that really made me think, "Oh man, that was much better than the original." That's my problem with it.
Ooh, that's a good quote. Oh, a remake that's better than the original.
Mm.
I'll have to think on that one. I do not think it exists, to be
It's
honest with you.
happened a few
Uh,
times. Casino Royale is my pick for a remake that completely, or not even a remake. That's a reboot. I would say.
no. That's a we'll get into that. I have that on the docket.
Okay, all right. So okay, for me, Um. Okay, so basically, I've made my answer. I prefer reboots over remakes, and that's why I want to get into, in my opinion, the greatest reboot of all time, Mad Max: Fury Road. You know,
Ah, yes.
George Miller's magnum opus. I mean, Furiosa was also fantastic. Love that film, but nothing will compare to the
That
magic.
is that's like we. I'm not gonna say we disagree, but I'm not as blown away by Furiosa as you were.
I wouldn't say I was blown away, but I remember at the time it came out, I said, if it's even 1/10 as good as Fury Road, it's still
I'd
going to
give
be
it
a
that.
great film. I think. Oh, anyways, moving on to Fury Road. I didn't even really watch Mad Max films before I even knew what Mad Max Fury Road was. I had never
Oh
seen it.
wow,
Yeah,
really?
I had never seen any of the trilogy. My only taste of Mad Max had come from that South Park episode with the boys and the condoms or whatever, and Butters
Yeah.
Butters puts on the mask and does the voice where he's like, "What does he say? What does that guy say?
Just walk away.
Lord Humongous with the fucking big old goddamn Jason mask. Going, it sounds like this.
Yes, and he actually, I believe that's what Axe and Smash from Demolition were designed after, because they
Yeah.
basically look like a version. They look like a dominatrix, a porn dominatrix version of him, but their
All of
body.
those all of those gimmicks, because that was like a well, it started with the Legion of Doom, and then 5 million people rip it off, but all of that was based off of just the whole Marauder vibe from Mad
Marauder.
Max.
Nice. Okay, so anyways, Fury Road came out. I heard about it from Evan. Evan hit me up and he was like, dude, I'm gonna go see the new Mad Max, and I was like, I don't even know about this movie coming out because it didn't come out in China. And then I read a review from Maddox on it, and Maddox's review was so over the top and ridiculous. It made it sound like it was the greatest film ever, and I was like, okay, I gotta wait for that to come out because I can only download it. Then when it came out late July of that 2015, man, I had never ever seen a movie that I had watched repeatedly over and over and over. And I was
I
going.
saw that
Go ahead.
in I saw that in theaters like 3 or 4 times, and there's not many movies I've done that for.
Dude, It's worth it, man. And during that time, I was kind of in the a bit of a man whore phase where I had just gotten out of a serious relationship, and I was like speed dating every other day or every other day. I was going on a date to a coffee shop or whatnot, and
You were binge dating. Speed dating is when you go to like a little event and you sit down at a table and you have to talk to someone for 5 minutes and then
Okay, yes, that's speed dating. Okay, so yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was binge dating, and after we would go and play pool or have coffee or something, I would generally take a walk back to my neighborhood, and I'd say, I'd pull my old. Well, I'm going to go upstairs and chill and whatever. You want to come up and watch a movie? If it didn't work, it didn't work. They'd go home, but more often than not, you'd be surprised at how often they'd come upstairs. And I would show them that movie. I'd be like, "We're watching Mad Max Fury Road. It's awesome. You got to see this." So
it was like your Godfather. You're like,
yeah,
you have to see
yeah,
this.
you have to see this film. Like, we got to watch it. And then they just be like, "Okay." And man, because of this binge dating Mad Max, want to go up to my home kind of game, I probably watched that film over 15 or 20 times that summer. I couldn't get over it, man. It was beautiful. A beautiful film.
It's amazing. And one thing I liked about it, and this is what makes even the worst Mad Max movie, which is Beyond Thunderdome, which was actually my first Mad Max movie, probably the worst way to get introduced to the series.
The Return of the Jedi of the Mad Max trilogy.
I wouldn't even give it that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's instead of relying on like CGI and green screen, which they totally could have done in 2015, they stuck to the roots of Mad Max, which is that all of the vehicular combat is real. They shoot that shit.
In 3, because I haven't seen 3 in a long time. So
And all of them, they've always shot those vehicular scenes like they did in Fury Road. It's just like they get those cars out, they get into that action. That's what makes Mad Max fun to watch, even when the storyline is kind of like shitty or like non-existent. You're into it because like you have these beautiful car action scenes, and they feel real because for the most part
they
they
are.
kind of are.
Yeah. Other than the only thing that I can think of in Fury Road that isn't actually real is the very end when Rictus crashes the car, or crashes the trucks into the canyon, and then the wheel of the truck comes into the screen so that the skull is perfectly placed. That's the only CG part I can actually think of, because for the most part, I heard that about 98 to 97% of that film was all practical effects, all the driving sequences, everything. Everything was.
Yeah, that's basically what most of the budget generally goes into as well. It's just making all of those vehicular combat scene happen.
So look at that. That's a great way of bringing back a series, rebooting it, because it doesn't follow the story of the old ones. It's a totally new beast. It gives you hints of the story set piece moments back in the original trilogy, but for the most part, this is a complete reboot. This is how it's done. That is a perfect example of a great reboot and bring back a series, and Furiosa followed it with almost equal quality. I love
Yeah.
that.
My first time, I actually have the first time I ever saw Mad Max Fury Road, I had a headache the whole time, and the second I got back
Ooh.
home, my roommate, who in an earlier episode I told a story about leaving his beard shavings on my goddamn kitchen island. This time there's another caper.
A bad
This time
roommate story.
he was dating this like schizophrenic hippie girl, and like she'd been around and we didn't really like her because she was crazy. And he tried to like sneak her in to like live with us. The only reason they
Ooh.
got caught is because they thought nobody was home, and I had just gotten home, and I could literally hear them like in the room next to me, like, "Yeah, we're gonna sneak you in. We're gonna get away with this." And she was
Wait.
just like, "Hee hee 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 hee."
So this guy's bright idea was that you were somehow gonna just be totally fine with him sneaking her in, and
Yeah, he's gonna fucking like he's gonna like hide her away like she was Anne Frank or something, and we were like never
wow,
we
what
were
a
never gonna fucking
plan.
find her.
Jeez, that is some cowardly shit. I mean,
It was.
if I were her, I'd be like, wow, this guy can't even like go have a conversation with his roommates. Like,
So they're like, I'm listening to them hatch this plan about how they're gonna like sneak live in our goddamn house. And I basically like started a group chat with all of like as my old comedy partner Ben, who I was living with, and then my ex at the time. I'll leave her name out of this. So like I messaged them and I was like, these motherfuckers are sneaking in, so they rushed back from where they were to come deal with it, and then we have to confront him. This all happens within like 30 minutes of
Mm.
me like hearing this, and we're like in the living room with them, telling them that that can't happen, and then she has like a mental breakdown and starts like pretending to be like an old elderly married woman or something like that. And
Oh
she was
wow,
just
she
like,
was going. She,
yeah, she's just like,
okay.
we're gonna live on the prairie together, like real just like insane shit. And eventually her parents, who were like, these are both trust fund hippies, these people, they're rich kids. Uh and her parents had to come pick her up, and like it was ridiculous. Luckily I got to see Fury Road like a couple more times. So yeah, another series to jump forward that that's like I think is like the epitome of reboots, because it's just always rebooting. It's kind of the core of the series is James Bond.
Yes,
um
Casino Royale,
yeah,
baby.
yeah, it's like, and even before Casino Royale, every time they get a new Bond, it is like there may be some tinges from the older.
So you would say, I guess I would say, are you talking about like going from Connery to Lazenby to Moore to Dalton to Brosnan to yeah,
Yes,
yeah, like okay,
because
so
it's
it's
and all of them have their own vibes too. Like the vibe of the movie, the tone of the movie kind of changes. Yeah, it's like Connery is, it's very like, it's 60s mod, snappy. And then Lazenby takes you to it's like a little bit more psychedelic, and then you hit Roger Moore, which is just about as camp as you possibly get. And then Dalton's a little darker, and then Pierce Brosnan's like modern Michael Bay style sort of action movie, and then we hit Casino Royale.
yeah, man. Casino Royale was just I was not expecting that because Die Another Day was just dog shit. That was one of the worst Bond movies I've ever seen in the theater. Seeing it in theaters, it's like it's exciting because there's a lot of cool set piece moments and yada yada yada.
There's Madonna.
Yeah, there's Madonna. There's a dude that's got diamonds implanted into his face. There's a cool sword fighting sequence throughout some sort of like French mansion. There's good set piece moments, but the story and the acting, especially from Halle Berry, just not up to par, man. It would have been
I,
much more suited back in the '70s and '80s. Just the whole,
yeah,
yeah.
I've it's the only Bond movie I don't go back and rewatch, and just a testament to its quality is that I don't really remember much about that movie except for Diamond Face Guy, Madonna, and the Ice Hotel, and
The
those are like
Ice
the three things
Hotel.
I
What an
remember.
idea! Oh yeah, that's a terrible. It's a terrible film. It's a terrible film.
Let's take a moment on this ice hotel. This is a hotel built entirely out of ice, and it's somehow kept like so temperature like tempered that like that it somehow never melts.
Yeah, and where's it located? Isn't it located in like Norway or
Yeah.
yeah, it's located in one of the northern European. What do they call those northern European countries? Like that collection of Finland and Norway. They call them something, but that's not important. Either, shit, I forget. It might have been in one of the poles, one of the Arctic poles, north or south. But yeah, what a like whoever came up with that idea and then said, okay, we're going to make this real and this is going to happen. And what do you know? The big weapon in the movie utilizes those diamonds to create some sort of laser beam, and then the laser beam cuts through the whole ice home. Bond is using his new car. What do they call it? The Vanquish. John Cleese calls it the Vanquish, and he's driving his car up and around this. It's almost like the house becomes that parking garage, that cyclone that you drive up in most parking garages to get up to each
Yeah.
floor. It becomes like one of those, and he actually manages to like drive the car. It's ridiculous. Anyone who's seen it, if you haven't seen it, I guess go YouTube, Die Another Day, Ice House, Escape.
Yeah, don't watch the whole movie. There's no point in doing that.
If that's your introduction to Bond, you're gonna think, oh, this series is ass. But yeah, for
I
you.
remember one time buzz killing like I when I was a kid and that movie came out, I was working in theater a lot and I was at a cast party for a play I'd been working on, and this is all adults. I'm like the only kid. Um and like they were all like into Madonna because they're fucking like Gen X. And they put like a Madonna's greatest hits on it, and like Die Another Day was on it, and they were super into it. And I like totally buzz killed the room by having like a full like fedora nerd moment. I was like, I hope you all know this is the worst James Bond movie.
Yeah,
And just like
okay.
I just like bombed.
And you know
They're
what?
just like, all right, shut up, you little like fucking brat. Like basically was the reaction.
Dude, I gotta admit, I did like that song. I thought it was a bit of a bop. I thought that was.
Oh, the song wasn't bad. I just had to let everyone know the movie sucked for like no reason whatsoever. We're at a cast party just listening to a song.
And let's get back. Let's focus more on the fact that this movie was so terrible that we needed the reboot. There needed to be a hard reboot on the James Bond formula. Bond Brosnan had two good movies, two shit movies. The World Is Not Enough was not very good, and then Die Another Day just. Then we needed a
Yeah,
nice
another
reboot.
flop.
That's an example of a series that has consecutive sequels every 2, 3, or 4 years. That was a situation where, oh man, we need to go back to the drawing board on Bond.
And then they just kind of reboot. It's a very British thing to do. They do that a lot with stuff. Like I think a great. We're not going to dive really into this, but I just wanted to bring it up. Like Doctor Who, that is a series who like we're in the lore is Reboot. Like the entire, it's like written into the lore that after a certain period of time, we're gonna like kill this version and then reboot it all over again.
Oh, that's
And it's
very
like a very
meta.
like it's very kind of like it's very British. They're just like they know how to like milk. They know how to milk a fucking IP just kind of quietly in a way that doesn't piss people off. And I don't think Americans have quite grasped. You know?
Would you consider James Bond to be a British IP for first and foremost?
Yeah, for the most part, it's very like it's very British produced, British directed, British written. A lot of the actors are British.
Okay.
It's
I was gonna say, I'm just not seeing the British output of remakes and reboots in the same way that Hollywood does. Like, I don't think we're gonna get a reboot of Peep Show. You know what I'm saying?
No, they did try to remake that in America. The pilot was so bad it didn't go anywhere. But no, they don't do stuff like that. I'm more talking like they do have these sort of like they have a lot of like beloved IPs from their like past that they aren't willing to just kind of like
Whore
recycle
out.
again and
They're
again.
not
Like
gonna whore them out.
Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is a big one. You know, they're always constantly making a new Sherlock Holmes show, different kind of like gimmicks to add into it and stuff like that. So it's like I do to the British kind of, and they're kind of better at it. I'm
Mm.
gonna say the British are better at the reboot than America. I think we think too monetarily about it. Like
Yep.
we have such Hollywood is so fucking huge. It's like it's like maybe the biggest film industry. Like in terms of just like its scope. That we think less about it of like a creative sort of a way. Like what like risks can we actually take with this to make it something worth revisiting?
And it's
Where
usually a risk that always falls flat on its face because it's just so shallow. All the network executives, they really just want to focus on the IP and the draw of the IP. And the fact that I feel like most producers have the idea of if we make it, they will come. That's kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
and a lot of them have been producers for so long that they're very far removed that of like what makes people actually come. You know, to them it's all statistics and numbers. They aren't out here like discoursing or
No, they're
getting
not
a
reading.
pulse on what people want.
Well, most of the time, discourse about fandom discourse becomes so toxic, and there's so many bad examples of it that I really don't blame them for the whole. Yeah, what do they know? That like because most fan discourse is just really wretched. It's a borderline evil in some ways, just the
Yeah.
way that people talk to each other.
All right, and I just moving on. I did want to ask you a question, and I'll answer it too. What is like a bad movie reboot that really disappointed you the most, more than any others? I know that's like a lot of ground to cover because so many of them have disappointed us consistently.
Man, I can't even really think of one. Off the because most bad movie reboots or remakes kind of go in one ear and out the other. I never watch them again. One that I wouldn't say it's a movie, but I'll bring it back to a show that came out about 7 years ago. Jordan Peele's The Twilight Zone That was a
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was a real disappointment. That was not good. Nothing
Yeah,
really memorable
you
there.
think those two would be like a natural marriage too? Jordan Peele's really good at these sort of like weird sci-fi horror stories that do have a socio-political message in them, and that's like what the Twilight Zone was. And
Yeah,
yeah, I think that was, but that was also what I would say is a victim of we were like strong in the just like half-ass reboot era. Then they were just shitting them out like fucking cow pies. Like it was awful.
yeah, and for me, I've seen so many good old Twilight Zone episodes. My friend Julius had the whole DVD collection, and he showed me tons and tons of classics. So when in between 2015 and 2019, Black Mirror had kind of replaced the Twilight Zone as that anthology, creepy, socio-political commentary kind of show. And I was really looking forward to it because I was like, man, Jordan Peele, he did Get Out. Nope, dude, he's this got to be a home run.
Yeah,
Turns
he's
out,
fantastic.
yeah, turns out not so much. Same with Guillermo del Toro's. Uh, he did an anthology series a couple of years ago. It
Yeah,
wasn't
what
that?
was it called? Cabinet of Curiosities. I didn't even bother with that one.
Yeah,
I think it's because wasn't it on like Netflix or something?
I downloaded it. I don't know. I don't even have I don't have streaming services, man. I just download shit. Um. Anyways, yeah. By that point, I think a guy like Jordan Peele or Guillermo del Toro, I think when their efforts are spread out over multiple episodes where they're basically forced to do what if each episode's a 30 minutes, 10 times 30. Yeah, that's a lot of time that they have to fill in. But when they have a movie that's like more concentrated and they're only working with like 2 hours, I think that's where guys like Peele and Del Toro really shine.
Well, also the thing with those series is that they weren't making all those episodes. They delegated out to other writers and directors, and they're just kind of like the producer for us. And I do think they
Ah,
usually make or write one episode themselves. That's kind of how those horror anthology sort of series go when they're directed by popular people. And like, yeah, usually they're real hit or miss.
yep. And
Um,
that was a miss, big time for me.
they tried one of those in the thousands called Masters of Horror, and it was about the most like splotchy like thousands straight to DVD bullshit
Ooh.
series of like horror shorts you could ever see. Just not good stuff.
And let's
But
just say the
for
2000s were not a good time for horror.
no, that was a downturn, especially after the 80s and 90s gave us such good shit. So for me, I have to say I've it's gonna be the Snyderverse. I'm gonna throw the Snyderverse under the bus. We're gonna make that beef
Oh man,
with the Snyder
the
fans.
DCU has just been a constant streak of disappointments. Like for every 5 bad movies, there's one kind of good to
Yeah,
great.
one stroke of genius.
Yes, that the whole DCU era from 2015 to what we currently have, it's bad. Continue.
Is bad. I mean, I liked Superman, the last Superman movie. That
Oh,
was a good start for
that was
things.
nice. I liked it. I saw it in theaters.
But yeah, but apparently Supergirl is not doing so hot. They still got some other things though. They got a Clayface movie that looks like a body horror film,
I would like to
and
see that. I like Clayface.
I'm holding out hope for that one. But yeah, so it's like Snyderverse comes out. I back then it was a little less easy to hate Zack Snyder. Like Watchmen was okay. I actually Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite horror movies, and his remake of it was not bad.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, that film was
Yeah, it's
awesome.
like the time that like he takes over the DC shit. He is kind of someone where you're like, well, he could probably do this, and then what we got was just a bunch of I don't know,
Phew.
just
I'm looking at the output right now. We got Batman v Superman, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, whatever the fuck that
yeah, oh yeah,
means.
because Joss Whedon directed the first Justice League movie, and it was real shitty. So then remember the Snyder cut bullshit? Because
Yes.
it was I know you remember that. It was
What, the
everywhere.
Batman vs
Yeah.
Superman Snyder's cut, right?
No, it was all about Justice League. That was
Oh,
like
jeez. Okay. Yeah. Go on.
so it's just like it's all these they're just like fucking like gray, dull, like creatively like bankrupt. It's just like nothing there at the surface. And then like the Ezra Miller shit happened where he gets canceled and they still release the Flash, and it's just like, Ezra Miller wasn't canceled for anything. Like he didn't just say some edgy shit. He like kidnapped a teenager. in like Hawaii. He went on like a fucking bender. He went on like some goddamn like David Lynch film style bender.
Jesus.
It's like they still went with that. I've seen The Flash. It is a horrible movie. All you need to know about it is the opening scene is him just stuffing babies in the microwaves.
What?
I won't even. Yeah,
All right, a baby microwaving opener. That's a new one.
and it's like you have to remember at the time where this like is popping off, like where MCU is actually good. That's not true anymore.
No, not at
But
all.
it's like, we're in like the hot Thanos like stretch of shit before they ran out of ideas.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have to say Snyderverse was probably the one that like it blue balled me. It blue balled me real bad, man.
blue balled you bad. Yeah, man.
I wanted to come and Snyder just edged me.
He edged you hard, man. You were trying to get some goon on a nice goon streak of good movies, but that just wasn't going to happen for you.
No, I'm trying to think. Was there even a fucking? I think the first Aquaman, like maybe would have gotten a sputter out of me. But
Ooh.
I'll stop talking about cum and DC movies. Let's move on to fucking video games.
Oh
Video
man.
games are another medium racked with reboots, and I would say video games do reboots not as good as movies, but we could dig into that now.
Okay. So,
What are like what's a good like bring up some what are some like video game reboots that stick out in your mind
all
as
right.
ones
Well,
that
the,
were like
the big
worthwhile?
the big reboot boom came around 2001, 2002 at E3 when consoles like Xbox, PS2, and GameCube were bringing back IPs, but now they're going to be utilized in 3D. Because I guess a lot of developers didn't want their old classic 2D IPs to have a subpar PS1 or N64 release. Because, going 3D back then was hit or miss, and if you
It
missed,
was.
if you missed and your game was a failure, it had the chance of killing the IP.
It
So
did, and video game like a lot of these IPs that we're gonna end up getting like remade stuff like they because of the Genesis sort of drive into video games got edgier and people wanted edgy video games, and a lot of these IPs were sort of they were when they came out it was more of the 16-bit kind of like kiddie stuff, and so there was a lot of this ain't your daddy's Mario sort of like
right, right.
vibe going on.
I hated that like going back and reading those magazines from the early 2000s. It's very the writing is very edgelord,
Cringe.
a little cringe edgelord writing. Even in the 90s, it was like that. But okay, moving on to the reboots. We had advertisements for things like Toe Jam and Earl, a new Shinobi game. Uh,
Hmm.
like basically, we're taking
I
games that
had that Shinobi game. That was the PlayStation 2 one, right?
that's a hard game, man. Yeah, it came out in
It
around
is. It is. I didn't get very far in it, but I remember like it's fun.
Yeah, that was fall 2002 that dropped. I remember that being extremely difficult. Then Prince of Persia. What in E3 2003 we had the Prince of Persia Sands of Time trailer. I was like, "Whoa, that's going to be awesome" because I played the original on the those old PCs, man. The original Prince of Persia was the shit. Let's see how they bring it into 3D and like Ninja Gaiden. Fuck me, man.
Oh yeah, Ninja Gaiden Black. That was like the first game that I truly had to be like I can't continue playing this. I have to give up. I'm not good enough. Like I it literally was the first time I really had to eat a slice of humble pie because before then if a game was too hard for me, I would just keep trying and then eventually I would persevere. But that was the first one where I was like, I can't
I
I can't really fucking do
I
this.
love the way that it played so much. I love it felt so satisfying to play and it still does. I beat it within about a week or two, man. I blazed through that game. I had my problems, man. Like the boss fight with Alma. The first boss fight with Alma is just wretched. But then like you get into a flow for the combat, and I guess you and I had a significant age gap difference back then. I was
We did, but I'm also not as into that sort of like, that's like kind of the precursor to like Souls like and Neo and like all these games now where it's just like fucking reflex and
very reflex
insanity
heavy. Yep.
raining down on you. Yeah, and that's not my level of gaming. That's kind of we differ on gaming there a little bit. I'm not as of a reflex gamer.
I loved it, man, and it was a great reboot. It was a great Prince of Persia was a great reboot. Shinobi was going back.
It was all right.
Yeah. Toe Jam and Earl. Ugh, not. That was a very experimental game, to say the least, and it was an Xbox
They
exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, Toe Jam and Earl always kind of was. Even the early ones, there's something really odd and different than like your other like even Genesis platformers at that time.
Yeah. Then the indie boom of 2008 or 2007. The Xbox Live Arcade that allowed for a lot of developers to do their own versions of classic 2D IPs. So instead of waiting for Nintendo or Sony or Sucker Punch or whatever to come out with a new version of
Yeah,
a game, they would do it themselves, and most of the time it was a hit. But then
and then some of the times it was Bomberman, you know.
some of the times it was Bomberman. Yes. That are we talking about the Bomberman with that like cover where he was like an android that didn't look
Yeah,
anything like Bomberman?
yeah, that's what the game was like. They tried to make Bomberman into this like edgy Halo like aesthetic, and everyone was like, it's like the fucking like Fallout when you do something horrible in a town and it just pops up, and it's just like everyone disliked that.
Can you
Like
imagine?
that is what happened when they dropped Bomberman.
Can you imagine a Japanese person going into a store and Bomberman is a very Japanese style IP. Just his whole design is cute, but he's violent. It's got that Kirby thing going on where he's super
Yeah,
cute.
it's just like it's cute aesthetic, but it's like some of the most horrific
Yeah,
violence.
chaotic
It's like
violence.
it's like if you think about what you're doing in a Kirby or Bomberman game, and like what kind of cute little bunny type creatures you're doing it to, you're kind of like, this is horrible. It's like this is a genocide.
Can you imagine a Japanese person going into a store and picking up like Bomberman for the Xbox 360 and that's the cover? They'd be like, "What the fuck is this?" And they would just
They would probably
they would
they would like luck out because they would buy it and then play it. It's just as bad as it
yeah,
looks.
they would politely put it down and leave the store. They would silently just get the fuck out of there. Yeah. But then, because of the indie boom, old IPs started coming back in 2D and being remade for like $15-20 a pop style games. Strider being one of them. We hadn't had a we hadn't had a Strider game since 1999 for the PS1, and
Yeah.
it's an okay game. But then games like Strider were coming back. Off
That,
the
that that Strider remake is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll go
dude.
on record and say it.
The Bionic Commando remake was really good. Konami did an X. It's called something Hard Corps Uprising. It was a Contra reboot. It wasn't called Contra, but it totally was like a sequel to Contra. It was done completely in the style, same music, same gameplay style. I believe it was called Hard Corps Uprising. But me and Evan played the shit out of that game. Loved it. So yeah, there was a lot of great, great, great reboots and remakes back then. I mean, and there still can be, but
An occasional Obama, another reboot from that era of time, even though it wasn't a. And this is actually on the opposite end of a company that was enslaved and still is to this day by a corporation. This Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which
oh,
was that was a fucking reboot. It's on a new system. They changed everything you loved about Banjo Kazooie. There's no fucking big titted goth witchy girl. There's none of the fun characters. There's none of the 3D platforming. It's this weird sort of
doesn't
like
it? But wait, doesn't it still follow the? It still follows the story from Banjo Tooie, doesn't it? So I wouldn't say it's a
I
I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's a sequel because it came
it is a
out.
sequel
Yeah, that's got to be a sequel. That's not a reboot. No, no.
because it popped up. I googled like bad reboots, and it was one of the ones that popped up eventually.
Really, Banjo Kazooie Nut
Yeah.
and Bolts. Personally, I wouldn't call it a reboot. I would just call it a failure in terms of. I would call it
I wouldn't call it a reboot. I just call it a failure.
it didn't really.
I can't argue with that.
When we played Banjo Kazooie and Tooie, it's a character platformer. We want to have a collectathon. When we wanted Banjo Kazooie to come to Xbox 360 or the next gen, That was not what we had in mind, Rare. I don't know who from Rare ever will listen to this, but that is not what we had in mind. We didn't want to sit down and do a DIY vehicular, whatever the hell that was. That was not the
Yeah,
plan.
I will say this: I've never fucking played that game, so my knowledge is very, very, very limited.
I've looked at YouTube videos. I've seen the mission structure, how much time it takes to actually put together vehicles, and there's a lot of trial and error with it too. If you fuck up the vehicle, you can't do anything. You can't pass the
Yeah,
mission. Yeah, I don't want to play a game like that. I'm sorry, Rare, but that was a fucking failure. It wasn't a reboot, a remake. It was just a straight up, just it was almost like you were pissing on us. And that's how I felt about Banjo Kazooie nuts and bolts. I
they were
mean,
nutting on us,
yeah, yeah.
and then they bolted because we
And then
haven't
they
gotten a
bolt,
fucking banjo game since them.
yeah, they bolted the sons of bitches.
All we've gotten is ukulele, which is okay. Sorry, Platonic.
Ukulele. Has
Anyway, I
okay.
actually have I have a few reboots I wanted to go into, and then we'll talk about a specific bad reboot, and then we'll get into the wrapping up of this. Some good reboots. I'm going to go towards like more the 2010s onward. Just what one I love, the Tomb Raider reboots, Square Enix,
Yes, excellent,
and
excellent.
I think who else is doing that? Who developed? I know Square is like publishing it, but someone else is developing
Who
it.
developed Tomb Raider in 2013? Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal. Let's
Oh,
see.
they were delegating.
Yeah, it was from Crystal Dynamics, developed, published by
And
Square. There you go.
okay, then they take Tomb Raider, which the first 3 or 4, it depends on what your opinion on where the series went wrong is. I think everyone thinks Angel of Darkness is where it really, really went wrong. But those early ones don't age so well, so
Nope, they
they
don't
take
play
Tomb
well either.
Raider.
They don't play well at
Yeah,
all.
they kind of they took some of the DNA from Uncharted and just kind of made it better. I think
Yeah,
this is probably a hot take. Everyone loves Uncharted, and
yeah, man.
they applied it to Tomb Raider. It's this fantastic like survival shooter. It's a little bit open world. There's collectathon aspects. It gets a little survival horror sometimes. There's
Yep.
creepy parts where you're. And I think that is how you fucking reboot a video game. Even the third one, which is like the less loved one, is what I hear pretty fucking good. And there's another one coming up soon that takes place in Atlantis.
And it's a
So
violent game. And if you're an action game fan, Rise of the Tomb Raider and the original Tomb Raider, or the first one from 2013, they are violent games. Like, you are gonna get your, I mean, the death animations for Lara. Oh my God! There's this absolutely horrifying death sequence if in the 2013 one. If you're going down this river and there's a bunch of wooden poles and stuff like that, and if you fuck up, man, dude, there was a scary death animation where one of those pikes goes right through her eyeball, man. And I mean, they are not shy about showing that. It is horrifying. It is a grisly game.
they
Grisly.
do the classic. They do the classic. It goes in black and white.
Yeah. All right. So go on. What's your
But
next?
it's to wrap up on a good video game reboots. And it's more of a question for you because I think it is. Do you believe, because it's kind of just like the Zelda timeline is contentious. Do you think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are considered like a reboot? Because they have kind of said it's its own weird new timeline thing, and
Well,
it's a new
okay.
jump of gameplay
Good question.
and kind of imagery for Zelda.
Okay.
It's very different than what Zelda's used to be, which is you can tell because Zelda fans are half of them are still pissed off that they did that.
All right. Well, one thing that I've learned in the past couple of years to accept is that it's called the Legend of Zelda, not the exact retelling of the story of Zelda. So the fact that it's called the Legend of Zelda means that a lot of the storytelling is open to interpretation. You're hearing myths and legends that have been passed down over time, and the stories that
There's
are,
the telephone game
yeah, it's like
like
basically
aspect, yeah.
telephone telewrestler. That's a phrase we have.
Tell a Zelda.
Yeah, yeah, telezelda, man. So basically, for them to say, okay, this is set like 10,000 years in the future, it's basically Nintendo's way of saying, yeah, we're essentially rebooting the game. You know, because, I mean, come on. When you go around in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, you're picking up like Majora's Mask. You know, like Majora's Mask is in a random chest in Breath of the Wild. There's Link's old tunics, his old gear from previous games. Like you have the Cap of the Wind or the Cap of
Yeah.
Twilight.
And that's that. And in Tears of the Kingdom, they up the ante on that. I mean, there's so many fucking outfits that
It's
are direct nods.
just nothing but Easter eggs. It's just a constant barrage of Easter eggs, and they're excellent games. Breath of the Wild changed the it revolutionized open world. Yeah, I would totally agree with you, or I would totally say that Breath of the Wild is a complete reboot to the series.
Yeah, I
Totally.
agree. That's like I was like that's something that's on my mind. I was like, we should talk about
I have
that
no
because
problem
I
with
do
that.
think it's a reboot.
I have no problem
Yeah,
with
I
it
do think
either.
it's a reboot. And I just want to give I want to give two shout outs to bad video game reboots before we wrap this up. The
Okay.
first one being a series that just won't quit despite never having been popular. Why they are still rebooting Bubsy, the Bobcat, is fucking beyond me.
Awful choice, and it's like they knew it was going to be bad. They almost advertised it as if it was going to be shit.
It was like when they made the sequel to Shaq Fu. It was the same exact thing. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna make a shitty game. It's shitty again.
I see
And
that.
then
That's a waste of
probably
time.
probably the brown standard of bad video game reboots. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. We got to give you a little shout out for
Ah.
your
Mm.
weird bestial proclivities and for just being one of the most poorly designed video games ever. It's unplayable.
All right, I'm okay. I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's you know, in the 3D Sonic Adventure timeline, I do believe that it follows the storyline beats of Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, and the like. Which I guess Heroes and '06, they were only 3 years apart. I wouldn't call that a reboot, but it was a comeback. It was a like a Sonic comeback, and that was how it was advertised. So, would a comeback be a reboot? Would it be considered a reboot?
I'm looking it up. It's a soft reboot.
A C boot, a
Yes.
C boot.
Yeah, it's oh yeah, there we go. That's a good throwback. Yes, this is a C boot. So yeah, they do kind of it is kind of like Breath of the Wild. I hate to compare these games. It is kind of like Breath of the Wild in that a lot of the elements from the main lore have made it in there, but it was meant to be sort of this soft reboot where it's like we're going in a different image and gameplay direction now. But instead of where Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, it worked out for them. This is like considered one of the worst fucking games ever. And I mean,
Dude,
Sonic has a romance.
even the demo
Yeah.
was glitchy, man. Like the demo was poorly designed. You couldn't even beat the demo because there were so many bad glitches where Sonic would just inexplicably fall through the floor. It was a terribly designed demo,
which
terribly designed
which
game.
isn't new to 3D Sonic, but it was happening at like a recurrence that was just like is unplayable. I mean, how do you fucking do that?
Yeah, man. And go on with I know you want to touch on the story beats for a second, so go ahead.
Oh yeah, and anyone who doesn't know, I mean, just look up the romantic story in Sonic '06 where Sonic is in love with a human
A
Japanese
human
woman.
Japanese woman, and she's completely she's not designed in a cartoonish manner. She's meant to
No,
be like
she
anime
is as
style.
real
Yeah.
as you could be.
Yeah, she's a real human being. It's all right. Whereas Mario Odyssey took Mario into a real world city and it felt completely natural somehow, this Sonic 2006 relationship feels very weird. It is very
It's
weird.
because Mario didn't take themselves seriously when they did it. They were clearly like, yeah, you're just Mario in this human fucking city. Where Sonic was like, we're just gonna they were I think they were trying to do like a Final Fantasy because she does look like a Final Fantasy X character. Where they're like, let's get Sonic a little like anime girl, emo girl sort of
Hmm.
romance thing. We'll take them into like this air of a weeby video game story, like JRPG storytelling that was pretty popular at the time. And yeah, so yeah, soft reboot.
All right.
And I guess
Before we wrap it up, I'm going to talk about an upcoming remake that we are all talking about, which is the Ocarina of Time remake.
oh yeah,
I mean, they've completely redone the art style of Link. It's obvious that this is going to be a real. I mean, we don't have any evidence of this, but I believe that they're going to have a. It's going to be a pretty serious reimagining of Ocarina of Time. And how do you feel about that?
I've been the Star Fox remake being as solid as it was gives me some hope.
Excellent
My only
game.
thing
Oh, that game
my
rocks.
only thing is I hope they add more like extra into the story and like open like world content than Star Fox 64 did. I don't understand why they didn't do it for Star Fox 64. That's not really a game or genre that really needs an expansion like that. But I would like to see a little something
Yeah, man, I would like
thrown
to see
in
a
for
new
Ocarina
game.
of Time.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I would
Uh,
like to see. Honestly, we had such a great remake or a great remaster with the 3DS version that I don't want to replay through the game again. There's no choice. There's no going back. We're getting it, and we have to kind of cope with that. So my cope is I really do hope it's a nice reimagining where I'm not walking into the Deku Tree and it's a shot for shot remake of the old
yeah,
one.
it's not the '90s Psycho starring Vince Vaughn of
Yeah,
Ocarina
I
of
want to
Time
I want to
remake.
have a nice little twist on everything. I want there to be a nice twist for all the dungeons, the overworld, while still having that nod to the past. A link to the past, if I may.
Ooh, end to
Yes.
end, I want to bring up there's two movie reboots upcoming that everyone's very excited, and they've actually timed their video game movie reboots. We've got a new Resident Evil movie coming from Zach Krager,
I'm looking
uh,
forward
dir-
to that.
director of Barbarian and Weapons, both
Yes.
fantastic
Yes.
fucking horror movie.
Barbarian
And
was the shit.
it was, and Weapons was like probably my favorite horror movie of last year. Sinners was very close,
Yeah, man,
and
Sinners was
Companion
awesome.
also very close,
Oh
and the
man,
monkey, but that's another conversation.
yeah.
The other is the upcoming Street Fighter movie, which I have far less hopes for.
In my head, all I can think of is Cody Rhodes as Guile, and that horrible shot of him when they came out with the initial shots of all the characters, and Cody Rhodes is just gritting his teeth as Guile with that goofy ass
He's like,
haircut.
it's like tough, and then fucking like 50 Cent didn't
Who is 50
50
Cent?
Cent as like, isn't he? Who's the boxer guy again? I always forget the
Balrog.
names for the Street
In,
Fighter. Yeah,
in,
Balrog.
in
I
America,
forget that.
it's Balrog, but I believe in Japan. Hold on, let me check it up. They switched the names around in Japan, where the original source. Japanese name for Balrog. He might be Bison. He might be M Bison. Okay, no, not Balrog from Lord of the Rings. Street Fighter.
I had a feeling that was going to happen to you.
Okay. So the Japanese name for Balrog, the boxer in Street Fighter, is Mike Bison, which
Mike Bison.
Mike Bison, which is shortened to M Bison. Yeah. Okay, so in America, M Bison is Vega in Japan. Balrog is Mike Bison. And Vega is Balrog. I believe
Wow.
Vega is Balrog. They totally.
It's really interesting that they instead of translating or like making the names entirely different, they just switched. They did a whole switcheroo.
I don't even know why.
Just switch.
Why would they even switch around the M Bison? Like what?
I know.
What's the point of that? Come on, it's right there. You're given. It's on a silver platter. Black boxer, gritty. I mean, M Bison. Come on. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap up this episode. We had a lot of fun. We just peaked over 1 hour, and that's where we want to kind of set our sights. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, I hope you enjoyed Jesse and I's reboot remasters.
Reboot about reboots.
Yeah, the reboot about the reboots. And with that,
and going forward, it'll be smooth. It'll be rebooted, and it'll hopefully be a Tomb Raider style reboot, and not Sonic 06.
Yes.
A soft, shitty reboot.
Yes, we're looking for Star Fox 2026, not Sonic 06. With that,
Yes.
have a good day, good night, good evening, whatever. Peace out.